facilities in this organisation, and we actually have, compared to some other organisations, I think a really good close working relationship with them. We do things like we do a Friday walk rounds here, so it's a senior nurse, corporate nursing team, infection prevention. We have estates as represented, either with Nigel or one of the other guys there. We have ISS representing their hotel services, and we go around particular areas, and we don't go around we're not looking for trouble, we're not looking to criticise, it's not an inspection, we're really clear on that. So we'll go onto an area and we'll look to see what it is that we can help them with. So we'll introduce ourselves to the nurse in charge, we'll introduce who we're with, and we'll say, have you got anything for them? So is there anything you'd like to pick up with catering? Is there anything you'd like to pick up with maintenance? And you know, sometimes you get blind to things, don't you, when you're in an area all the time. So we'll go through and we'll say, oh gosh, you know, how long has there been a hole in the wall, or your floor's peeling, or whatever it is, and you'll pick it up straight away. And they make a list and they action it, and it's a really good way of...
It's actually a tool service that it's recorded in
there. Yeah, so it's a really good way of...
We can make those repairs as we need them. Really.
Yeah, getting stuff done like that and keeping on top of things, but also looking at stuff with fresh eyes. So from a patient perspective, you're sitting in that bay, what is it that you can see? You know, is it like a big brown mark on the ceiling, or that kind of thing? So that's a really positive thing, and we always try and think of something, you know, positive feedback to the staff, like, you know, I can see you're really busy, but the patients look well cared for, or he looks really tidy, or, you know, thank you for your time. So we do that on a Friday. These guys are involved with the place audit, the annual place audit, and we all work closely with that, with the patient forum, and so we tend to lead teams, don't we, and go, and it's a very similar thing, but it's really interesting because it's patient forum members who are leading that really, and what they see and what they feedback, and we always try and be really responsive, don't we?
Absolutely, because it gives you a better picture.
It does.
We only see, like I say, we only see one side, we don't see it from the patient side, and then they give you that view, and it's
great. They do, and some of the members have got accessibility issues, haven't they, and disabilities, so it's really useful to see what it is that they see actually that's different. What else do we do together? So things like ward campaigns, and we do board-to-ward campaigns as a corporate team. So every month we have a theme, so it could be nutrition, hydration, it could be dementia, it could be something else. And facilities always support us with that in any way they can. So if we put in tea parties and things like that, they will supply cakes, and the lady will come and do that. We've got pictures of them doing that, it's brilliant. So they're very supportive, and obviously they involve us very heavily with things like nutrition, with menu changes, with catering contracts, with food tasting, all that sort of thing. They do value our opinion and make sure that we're there. Same with cleaning standards. IP are there, we're there. If there are any issues, they're very responsive. So it's not an emailing type culture, it's more of a phone call culture. So I can ring Nigel, or I can ring Kev Carney, who's the general manager for ISS. And he will sort it out straight away, and I know he will, so it's great to have that working relationship. And similarly, they'll come back to us and say, can you just clarify, because, you know, we think the nurses should be doing something but they're not, so we can help them in that way. And we work with Sean, so Sean is our security manager. So our involvement with Sean is often around people with behaviours that are a bit challenging or difficult, or actually they are violent and aggressive, and we have a zero tolerance policy, but we work as a team, and we will go and visit these people together to have that conversation, won't we?
I might be, aren't you?
Yes. And we'll issue with them with a caution, and then if necessary we have a process which we discuss whether we do a yellow card, which is, you know, like a final warning, or we give them a red card, which means unless it's life or death, they are no longer able to come here with their care. So we have conversations about that. Sometimes it's very difficult to make that judgment. Actually, if somebody is genuinely very ill, but actually they're quite abusive, and we do get that.
One of the things we look at as well each time, so we're not like we're judging from the start, we see three things we look for. One, was it something that we did we could improve on, we can actually improve doing that. Number two, were they, like I say, having a bad day? Was it because of the treatment? Was it because of the news they received? Car parking. or was it because, yes, they were aggressive, they were abusive, they were abused that way. So we look at it that way, and then we can feedback, and then we can actually put action plans in place.
Yeah, and then from the other side of it, if staff put in an incident saying they've been subjected to any abuse or of any sort, then you respond to that, don't you? And they do get a letter acknowledging that that's happened and offering them support and pointing them in direction and you know, saying that they can talk to somebody or they can go to occupational health, and we have that in place, and that will be for everybody, so they don't feel that that incident's just gone into the ether and nobody actually has noticed or cared.
And roughly how many instances of harm staff would you say there are?
How many?
Is it significant, is it?
It goes in fits and starts actually. I've not seen any recently. We had and sometimes there's all around surrounding one particular patient. So we had a ward recently who had a particular patient who single-handedly generated quite a lot of incidents, and some of our areas that can have a greater challenge like A&E, you might see a higher level just because the patients are coming in intoxicated and or with mental health issues, and we do see that, whereas some of the wards might rarely get anything, and by and large those incidents are people who don't actually have capacity in the actions that they're taking, and unfortunately you take that on board when you respond to it really. So what else do we do, Nigel? Service redesign and any refurbishment or structural works now. They involve corporate teams as much as possible, so that they've got the accessibility standards there, things like single sex standards, looking at things from the patient journeys perspective, and you know, just how it would feel if you were sitting in that environment as a patient. So we get involved with that now.
Hello, my name's Esther. I come Mondays and Wednesdays to sing for patients and just try to bring them a little bit of sunshine and make their day go a bit more cheerfully. I do this because I've had 9 years in a wheelchair. I've only been walking for a year, and while I was poorly I kind of went, when I get better I'm just going to try and make other people's lives happier by being colourful and that kind of thing. So here we go. Bring me sunshine in your smile, bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness, so much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years, never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love, sweet love. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love. Let's go, please.
introduce Jean Arrowsmith, who is our health advisor for Warwickshire Fire and Rescue Service.
Hello, I want to make sure that when you hear about this scheme that you don't go away with the impression that it's a taxi service that settles elderly vulnerable people. It is all that, but what is really important is that you must see it as wraparound care, that we want to try and help people remain independent and living in their home and reaching the very best health position that they can. Not only do we take them home and settle them in and make sure that there's no hazards in the home, we also then within 5 days provide a safe and well visit, which in the old days used to be just about fire alarms, but these days it's about making sure that we prevent future fires, that we prevent future fire harm. So within 5 days we do a safe and well. If we then find that there are issues to do with vulnerability and frailty, we then refer them to our vulnerable people officers who make a visit and will keep visiting until they actually sort out any issues. It could be poverty, it could be to do with housing, it could be to do with their lifestyle, it could be to do with winter warmth, whatever, we make sure that we tackle it. We then also refer to our partner agencies so that it's a total approach to keeping people safe and well, but also working within the team to help prevent admissions to hospital that shouldn't happen, that are preventable.
I'd like to talk about the hospital to home pilot Warwickshire Fire and Rescue Service have recently introduced in Warwickshire. It's a collaboration with Public Health and 2 key hospitals in Warwickshire, being George Eliot Hospital and Warwick Hospital. The service is a transportation and settling service, but it's so much more than that. It also provides extended care into the community, because what we actually do is once we've settled the person into their own home or their place of safety, we then rearrange to see them in 5 days' time, where we conduct a safe and well visit, looking at aspects of escape from fire, looking at health, nutrition and hydration. We look to fit them with the free smoke alarms that we fit throughout Warwickshire. And through our trained staff and the MEC referral process, Make Every Contact Count, we look to extend our service far deeper into the community by extending the services and referring to other partner agencies. Now, for Warwickshire, this is a new initiative and a new collaboration, one of our first ventures of working with health. We think that in the future there may be many more. We're very particularly proud of this piece of work, because having seen the results firsthand and sitting in on the MAID meetings, the multi-agency disciplinary meetings, we realised just how difficult and how challenging situations can be on the wards. And we really did realise that every single person we take home really makes a difference to the hospital. So far, it's only been operating since August the 20th, and we've already taken home 40 customers, or 40 of your patients, from your hospitals to their place of safety in their own home. We've settled them, we've made sure they're safer, and we've arranged safe and well checks. Going forward, we think this is going to be a very mutual collaboration, and we're looking forward to working even closer with the hospital. So that's a little bit about the pilot. So I now introduce you to the team. So I'll introduce you to Jean, who is our health lead and advisor, Gemma, who's our community safety officer, Saeed, our community safety officer, and Joe, who is the clinical nurse lead for Warwick Hospital. So Gemma's going to just tell us a little bit about her experience of working for Hospital Home so far.
Thank you. Yes, so we've been starting to do the hospital from home, and just coming along to the hospital and picking up the patients has been really quite rewarding. Just seeing the look on their faces, I think they're always quite shocked to start with that it's the fire service going to be taking them home. However, when they know they're going home, the smile on their face is just the best thing to see. And then when we get them home the other end, they're well provided for. We make sure that they've got everything they need, and we complete a safe and well if appropriate. If not, we will book to go another time to see them. So even knowing that sometimes we're going to be coming back to see them has been fantastic.
If I could just say a little bit about our very first hospital to home call. I remember it vividly because we so much wanted to take our first person home. And it was almost a textbook story really. We came along to the hospital, we were alerted by hospital staff, we mobilised the team to the hospital, and on arrival we were met by a great big smile from one of the sisters on the ward who were so happy to meet us and greet us and show us the person they needed taking home. So after a quick check of the paperwork and just to make sure that they fit our criteria, we safely and carefully put them into the vehicle, took them to their address, and to our surprise, when we got to the other end, we were met by their care support worker. Unknown to us was that the hospital had made contact in advance and informed them that they were coming back, and then we then handed them over into their place of safety. So it was a really successful first take home.
Okay, so we've changed the journey for our frail patients. So our patients, instead of going into ED and then going into the lottery of the entire system as to whether they from there were transferred onto general medical wards or care of the elderly wards or ED or AEC, anywhere. Instead of that, they're being streamlined to this frailty unit now, where once here they're having a one-stop approach. So they're being seen by the consultant geriatrician, the physiotherapists, the occupational therapists, and anybody else that can be involved or improve their journey. Pharmacists are also getting involved to do medicines reconciliations and also to be able to advise what they can do with medicines at home that they no longer need. We've had pharmacists arrange for community pharmacy teams to go in and collect any unwanted medicines. The purpose of this is that patients are seeing everybody all in one go, and they're getting a complete holistic assessment. They're also having a complete geriatric, well, your complete CGA, aren't they? So they're being assessed right from the start. They're having everything assessed all in one place. And it means that we can look at it completely and not just look at the medical side of the patients. The idea is to try and prevent our patients from spending too long in hospital or actually avoiding unnecessary admissions altogether. So they're coming in, hopefully we're being able to sort out their problems and sending them straight home again. And if not, they've already seen all the people they need to see, so they've got plans in place so that when they do move on to one of our frailty wards, there's a continuity there. The plans are already in place, those plans can carry on, and hopefully their length of stay is vastly reduced. We don't want our patients spending any longer in hospital than they need to, because once in hospital they tend to be very vulnerable to sort of deconditioning, spending too long in bed, not getting up, dressed and moving. And we don't want that happening to them. We want them home and in their environment and where they want to be as soon as possible.
How do you identify the patients as they're being admitted? Is that done by the ambulance service or the GP, or are you doing it at ED?
At the moment, the ambulance service are sending their patients to A&E unless the GP has identified them as an admission, in which case they've spoken to one of our consultants already and they can come here straight away. Once in ED, though, we've got ACPs that specialise in frailty that are identifying patients as frailty patients and pulling them straight through. So we're vastly reducing the length of stay that our patients are getting.
Yeah.
Sometimes by days, sometimes just by hours, but it's all being reduced.
And is that done on like an EFI score or a frailty index of some sort? Or?
They begin the comprehensive geriatric assessment actually in the A&E department, and providing they don't need any other specialist input, their investigations are started straight away. So by the time they're pulled through and they see the geriatrician, those results are all ready, and we've got a much better view of what we can do from there.
Rachel McCall, who's one of the consultants for Warwickshire Valley, who's got something very special to give you.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So my name's Rachel, as I said, I'm a consultant in Hereford, and we were in a pretty dire situation where I was on the floor, under pressure every day, and I had a little idea of what we might be able to do in order to try and boost morale and to recognise all the fantastic work that was still going on around us, all the positivity that was definitely being valued, and met Rachel through our foundation buddyship and introduced her to this idea as well. So you are, because of your amazing commitment to this department, all the hard work we do, despite everything else you're dealing with, you are the first unicorn of positivity. So for a week, you wear this badge and you wear it with pride.
Right.
And then if somebody says, why on earth are you wearing a unicorn? You will explain to you.
I like it the first thing, isn't it?
And then you have to look out for other people, see who's being unicorn-like around you.
So Rachel, I think you need to have a picture with them as well.
Yeah.
We'll both have that.
Down in these pictures. And then I'll
So basically we implant cardiac loop monitors, which are devices that are a bit like memory sticks that take data from the patient's heart rhythm, and we can determine if there's any heart differences in their, or any arrhythmias, any problems, or why they're fainting. You know, if they've got any symptoms, then we can work out if they need any help with any pacemakers or something for the future. So it's a monitor that's implanted under the skin, and they go home and the data is sent to the hospital every day, and then it's all downloaded, and they can see if there's any irregularities.
Irregularities, yeah. Because obviously high irregularities drop the blood pressure, which can cause fainting. And the traditional way of looking at that was what was called a 24 or 48-hour Holter monitor. And you had to put stickers on, and sometimes they fell off, and plus the patient would have to initiate the system, and there were battery issues, whereas with these devices they can live inside the body for up to 3 years. That's how long the batteries last. As I say, Seraphina said they give us all the information we need to determine does the patient need a pacemaker, or have the symptoms just gone away. But we're at the moment being trying to implant these very small devices just under the skin, which is a sort of a minor surgical procedure. It sounds like a big one, but it's because they're injectable. It's quite a simple procedure.
That's why us nursing staff have got the ability and the time to do it. So we just saw a gap, didn't we, in our service? So like on days like today, there is no consultant this morning, so we thought we could run a nurse clinic 1 or 2 a week. Actually, if somebody's on study leave or on annual leave, then us nurses could do it. So it's actually going to reduce the cost by half from the data. So we're still working on the data, but from what I've gathered so far, it's about by half. So the devices, we just numb the skin with local anaesthetic, and then it's a plunger device. So it just plunges into the skin, but this is the USB device that goes in, and it just sits under the skin, just up here. And it literally is a 15-minute procedure, so consultants don't really need to spend their time on all the more appropriate procedures like the pacemakers, the defibrillator, things like that. So we would rather they have the time for that, and then we can pick up the procedures that, they don't need to spend all their time doing.
And plus, as things improve, we can start putting the devices in other settings. That's not something we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, we'll be able to explant them as well. If we do a surgical course, we can do that.
Yeah. So the cost saving and the efficiency savings are significant, and to be honest with you, the benefit to the patient in getting the device a lot sooner, because there's someone more available who can maybe just nip down to the ward and pop it in.
Yeah, cut the waiting times and the continuity of just having one nurse see them from as they arrive, have the procedure, and then discharge them. That's the whole idea, isn't it?
Yeah, there are patients that are sitting in the hospital in a bed just waiting for this particular procedure for a consultant to be free, whereas that's not.
We're here all the time.
And you will go to the wards to do this as well?
Actually, it should be.